Just to let y'all know, none of those videos belong to me. Anyways, let's get right into this compilation with tutorials. Don't forget to subscribe.
How to make a Kandi X-base cuff. This is the base for most bigger projects, like most cuffs typically use an X-base. You'll need pony beads, scissors, and stretchy string. This is exactly what I have. I highly recommend it. It was $10 for a 4-pack. X-base cuffs are something I highly recommend you learn early on when doing Kandi so that you can work on bigger stuff and know what you're doing. First off, figure out 2 colors you want to use. My first color, which I'm going to refer to as color 1, whatever talking, is going to be this purple kind of fully done color. And then what I will refer to as color 2 is these clear purples that have like little foggy white bits. Figure out how long you want it to be. Whatever you do has to be a multiple of 3, so for example, I'm doing 30. Now take your string and string on 2 of your color 1 and 1 of your color 2. This is what we're going to do throughout the entirety of the starter single. So to show you again, 2 of your color 1 and then 1 of your color 2. Continue doing 2 of your first color and then 1 of your second color until you have the length of a single that you would like. As I mentioned before, I am doing 30. To tie it off, we are going to cross the string, then go through and tug. And then I recommend doing multiple knots just until you feel like it's secure. I personally do around like 3 or 4. Then take about a wingspan or half a wingspan worth of string and cut from the main thing, and then we are going to cut the tiny string but not the long one. Make sure that the string is coming out of a second color bead. If not, just go ahead and string it through so that it is. Now we're going to string on 1 of our first color, 1 of our second color, and then 1 of our first color. And we are going to take that and string it through the next second color within the single, and we're going to tug, and then we are going to shape it so that it looks like this and has a little point. Once it is strung through another one of the second color beads, we are going to do that again. So we're going to string on color 1, color 2, and then a second color 1 bead. And just like we did before, we are going to string that through another of the second color beads, then pull the string through, and we're going to make sure that it's pointed like so. And we're going to do this throughout the entirety of that. I've done it all around, so now I'm going to do it through the first bead that we started with, and we are going to, just as we've done all around, we're going to take all the string, pull it through, and then make this a point. Now we're going to string the string and go through the closest point. String through 2 beads, so it's coming out of one of the little points like this. Just as we did for all of these points, now we are going to string on 1 of your first color, 1 of your second color, and then another of your first color, and string it through the closest point. And then again, as we did for the other ones, you're going to make it into a nice little point. And then you're going to do that all around. This is what it should look like once you've done it all the way around. There's one more step to actually finish it. If you want to do 1X, this is where you stop. There's also 2X's and 3X's and 4X's. It continues on forever. And if you want to make one of those, this is a 2X for example, you would just go around and do a layer of the points 2 more times to make the second X, and then 2 more to make the 6X, and so on. The finishing step is the same regardless of how many X's you have. So string the string through 2 beads so that it is coming out of the closest point, like so. Then we are going to string on 2 of your first color beads and put it through the closest point. Tug the string, and this should help it get a more 3-dimensional shape if it hasn't already. And then we're going to do that all the way around. I'll show you one more time. So we string on 2 of your first color beads, and then we are going to string it through the closest point, tug, like that. To tie it, we're going to string it through the closest little hole like this, and then we're going to click it so that it's like right here, and then we're going to just pull. And again, just like the other knots, I suggest doing it multiple times just so that it's nice and secure. If you're going to do a project with it, I suggest leaving on any extra string so that you can have string to do the project. If not, just cut it off and you have a nice little bracelet.
This has been requested, so I'm going to be teaching you how to make a candy hat. Even if you're a beginner, this is really easy to do. The blue one is the one that my mom made. I used this tutorial and I altered it to make my pattern, so I recommend checking her out. This is what the mini hat looks like. Get an arm's length of string and then choose 2 colors. You're going to want to repeat what I'm doing here and then make it as long as your head length, like put it around your head. Make sure you end with white bead or whatever color you're using so it matches up with this when you tie it together. Tie that. You're going to want to make sure that this fits your head, and then you're going to cut off the excess string that's shorter. Now that you did that step, this matches the whole bottom rim of the mini hat. This is also it unfolded. You can see on the second row, it goes blue, green, blue, because these are the 2 blue pieces at the bottom. So for this one, since my 2 black beads are here, I'm going to do black, white, black, and then put that on the string. So that's on there now, and you can see how that matches with this. And then you're going to get the end of your string, and you're going to go through just this white bead. So this is what it looks like after I did that. And so you're going to do that all the way around, and make sure you pull as you go through it so it starts to stand up like this one is. This is what it looks like when you go all the way around and finish that row. If you have any rows that are going like this, you're going to want to fix them to make sure they're pointing outwards from when you're building on it, and that way it's less confusing for you. We're going to get our string, and we're going to go through this bead and this bead, so it's back at like the top of the row. Not that you're at the top, it's basically the same thing. We're doing black, white, black, but instead of going through this bead, you're going through the top one, so you're making another row. Be careful not to go on any of the white beads on the first row, or it's going to look really wonky. Again, make sure to pull as you go, because you can already see it starting to stand up when I pulled the first time, going on this row. Okay, so now I'm at the end of that row, so we're going to put black, white, black onto the string. Now that's on the string, sorry if this looks confusing, we're going to go through this bead, not this one or this one. Be careful not to go to the wrong one, or again it's going to look wonky. And then it should look like this, where it's like fully consistently going around. So again, you're going to go through this bead and this bead, so you're back at the top of the row. It's okay if yours isn't standing yet, because it takes multiple rows for it to really start to get sturdy. If you're starting to run out of string like I am, get another arm's length of string and tie this onto here. I recommend like double knotting it like 4 times and then cutting off these 2 strings. If you accidentally cut off this one, you can just retie it again. Okay, I'm back at the top of the row, but you might be confused from like how many rows should you do? So it's going to be different for me because I'm doing a mini hat, and this has, you can tell by these like holes here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think that's 7 actually. So this has 7 rows, you can tell by that. This one has, I'm gonna count this and come back. So this has 15 rows. It depends on how high you want it to be, but also this is gonna get folded, so it's gonna be even shorter. It's very repetitive on what you do, so it's like literally the same thing every row. So I'm gonna come back once I finish the last one.
Ads on the TV, which was pretty cool, but the staff, if they knew what was happening, but
I'm almost there. So I finished all my rows, and I'm at the top of the row. So what you're going to do is you're going to put 2 black beads onto your string, or whatever your main color is. And then you're going to go through the white bead here at the top, that's also on that row. Pull. And then you're only going to do this halfway, so count how many rows there are, and then divide that by 2. For my mini hat, I did 9 of them. And then I'm at the corner here, so I'm just going to put my string through this white bead, because it's on the same top row. Don't accidentally go to the one below it. When you pull on it, you can start to see it makes a corner in the hat. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go through these 2 black beads and then this white bead, so it starts to come together. So when I went through these 2 black beads and then went through the white bead on the top, you can now see it's like starting to close up, so you're going to keep doing this. So I'm going to go through these 2 black beads and then this white one because it's on the top, and then it's going to start enclosing even more all the way through until we get to the end. I'll show how to do one more just in case it's confusing, but you can see it's working right here. These 2 beads and then the white one right here. It's a little hard to do this while recording, so just went through those 2 beads right there and then the white one on the top. I'm going to go through it right now. Pull and then do it again. Okay, so I made it to the end of the top, and because this bead is like sticking up, I'm going to go through this white bead right here so it lays down. And then to tie this off, we're going to get the end of the string and we're just going to tie it to the closest string next to it and like double knot it like 4 times. Just knotted it, and now we're going to get scissors and we're going to cut the string. Now all you got to do is fold this up and it's good to go. This is what it looks like folded, and then this is the final product. Thank you for watching.
Full tutorial. Make sure you have 3 sections of each of the secondary colors like so. 36 beads in total. Put them on your string, making a single exit out of your first secondary color. 3 of my primary. Skipping to beads. 2 dark, 1 light. Of secondary. 3 primary. Post videos needing to. Now you've made your spikes. You want to make sure you're colliding with each secondary. Connecting to each point. As you start to see each squiggle forming. Connecting to each of your points.
Oh, Father, forgive me for all my sins. When I meet your eyes, the devil he wins. Blinded by your lies.
Now here we will be using only the beads. You'll see as you go. Your cuff is forming. Connecting each squiggle together. Once done, tie off and cut tail. And you will have succeeded, making a DNA cup.
Fluffy clown cuff tutorial. Start with your sync. The size depends on preference. I use 30 beads for this one. Tie it off. Cut the shorter tail. Go in as if it's a plain X base. Stop at for X is high. Should look like this. Continue as if it was a plain X base, but add 5 beats instead of 3. Go through the points with 5 again. Tie it off. And you're done. 3.
A few people want a tutorial for the star cuff, so I'm going to give it to you. First thing you're going to want to do is make an X base for the base, and I've already done that. Now it's time for these parts. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your string through one of these top 2 beads, And once you do that, you're going to add 7 beads onto your string and then loop them through these 2 right here. Once you do that, you're just going to do that all the way around. So you're just going to add 7, go through these 2, add 7, go through these 2 until you get to the end. Once you have the top part done, it should look like this, and you're going to do the same exact thing on the other side. Alright, so once you have those sides, it should look something like this. Now it's time to do this part right here. So first you're going to take your string and you're going to put it through this top bead right here. Then you're going to put the sides together like this and put 3 beads on the string. It should look something like this, and now when you tie it, you're going to put one side of the string through one of these, or through this bead, and you're just going to tie it off. It should look something like this, and you're going to do that on every side. Alright, now that you have all these parts, it's time for the last part, which is this part right here, which can get kind of confusing, so I'm going to show you how to do it. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your string through one of the middle beads right here. And then once you do that, you're going to put 4 beads on your string. Once you have those 4 beads, you're going to loop it through the middle bead right here through this X. Once you do that, you're going to put 4 more beads and you're going to put it through the next middle bead right there. Once it looks like that, you're just going to do that throughout the whole thing by putting 4, putting through the middle one, add another 4, putting through there, and through the whole thing. Once you do the outside, then you're done. There's your star cuff. I will say, I think I forgot to say this, you have to make sure that you have 10 X's on the inside, like it can't be any more, any less, as of what I know. So it has to be 10 X's on the inside. But other than that, there's your star cuff.
Today we are gonna speed run making this super simple candy flower. Obviously you need string. I use about this much, probably about 1.5 feet. String on 30 beads. I use 2 colors and just do them in 3s, but you can do as many as you want. And then tie off. It doesn't have to be super tight, but I do recommend double or triple knotting it. Put your string through that next bead so it comes out in the middle, and then string 1 bead. I'm going to just rotate my colors, so if it's blue I'm going to do pink, if it's pink I'm going to do blue. Then you're going to go skip 1 bead and then go through the next 2 and pull through so you kind of get this. Then we're going to string on our next bead. Remember, I'm going to switch colors, but whatever color you do doesn't matter. Skip 1 bead, then go in the next 2. Typically I'd use a little needle for this so it's easier, but I'm trying to show that it's just as simple with your hands too. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and do that all the way around. Here's a tip if you're not using a needle. Go ahead and every time it gets like that, just cut this and it'll be easier to string through. So now that we put our last bead on, we're going to string through those next 2 beads to just finish off that layer. And then we're going to go ahead and go out the new bead that we added, that very first new bead that we added. So that we got this. I know it looks a little crazy right now. Just wait, after we add this layer, it'll look like it's forming the shape better. So next we're going to string 2 beads. Now to get the flower effect, you want to add the same color that you're there. So this is going to be the blue, this is going to be the pink. So I added 1 blue, 1 pink, and then I'm going to go through the next bead. So I have this. I'll show you another one. So I'm going to add the pink first this time, then the blue, and then sometimes it gets flipped around. You want to make sure you're going through the middle bead. So if this is the blue, the pink would be considered that middle of the flower. And as you're seeing, it's kind of forming a little bit better, but we're going to do that all the way around. As you're going, make sure there's some tension in the string, so keep pulling. That'll help it form its shape better. So now we've strung through to complete that layer. So we're in this middle bead currently. Now we're going to string over 2 beads, those first 2 beads that we put on. Go ahead and go through there. Oh my gosh, I hate when it gets stuck, but it's okay. Now we're going to string on 1 bead to complete that one, that flower. String through 2 beads. Add 1 bead. And then do this all the way around. Now that I put my last bead on, I'm just going to string through the next 1 bead because I'm going to go ahead and tie off. I'm going to pull pretty tight just to make sure it holds that shape. I think it's a little easier to put your nail through to grab it because I didn't give myself really enough string here to be stringing through. But yeah, I'm going to tie it off. I'm going to triple knot it just because I absolutely have had Kandi shatter on me at the show, and it's so sad. But yeah, this tutorial literally takes less than 5 minutes to make these once you get the hang of it. But yeah, so after you tie it off, you should have a pretty sturdy flower, and it's so cute and people love it. I remember this was the first one I ever received. This one was actually, someone made this one, and I literally was like, I have to learn how to make that. And then now I make all these different kind of candies. So hope that helped.
How to make a candy worm. Get your string and set it up like this. Take your string and string one bead on one end of the string. Then take the opposite end and string it through the bead and pull it down. It should look like this. Then take 2 more beads and do the exact same thing. You should have a total of 3 beads in a row. This is what it should look like. Now take 2 beads and string them on one end of the string. Then take the opposite end and string it through both beads and pull it down. This is what it should look like. Do the exact same thing, just replace the black beads with white. Now do that 5 more times with your bead colors, or however long you want your worm. Then string 2 beads on one end and take the opposite end and pull down. Do this 4 times. Do the same thing, but only string on 1 bead to make the tail. Do this 3 times. Tie it many times so it doesn't undo. Snip, snip.
Yippee, you did it!
How to make stars. Get a decent amount of string. Add 10 beads of your choice onto the string.
tie it all together tight. Cut of the excess string. Try to shape it into this. Put the string onto the next bead. Then add 3 beads and put the string into the next bead. And continue the process until it's all around. Now tie it all together. Cut off the excess string. There you go, have a great day.
So a lot of people were asking me how to make this. So here's the tutorial. So you need a lot of beads. So you need okay, ignore that. You need green, black, white, and pink, and some string, of course. So start by putting on a bunch of the greens. Okay, so you can do like 24. You just need like an even amount of beads. Okay, so you need those. So I did 22 green beads and then 2 pink beads. You just need 2 pink beads. That's all that. I have no idea what I'm talking. So then you tie it like this and cut the short string. Okay, so now you need black. So you're gonna make sure your string is like coming out like this, yeah. And then put your strings on the put your beads on the string like this, and then put it through this green bead. So it should look like this. Okay, so next you're gonna do this, and then you're gonna put it in through this like this, and then you're gonna do green all the way. Okay, so it should look like this. But when you're like to here, you're gonna do 2 more white beads and 1 more black. So it should look like this to start. Okay, so now you're gonna put your string. You're gonna put it through this green bead, this one, and then the black. So it should come out of the black bead like this. Okay, and then next you're gonna put 2 green beads and then 1 white bead on, and then put your string through the other. So you should get this. You're gonna do a white bead and then 2 green. Okay, so next you're gonna do you're gonna do 1 green bead, 1 black bead, and then another like this, and then you're gonna do green. So once you get to here, you're gonna do 1 green bead, another black bead, and then another green bead. And then you're gonna do 2 green beads, and then a white bead, and then 2 green. And then you should have this. Woo! And you're gonna put it through this bead and then this bead. And then just put a bunch of green. Put 2 green beads and then put it through this. Then you should have this. Here's how to tie it. So you put it through this hole. Okay, wait. So like this, and then you put. Bro, it's hard. Okay. like this. I don't know if that made sense, but you pull it, and you do that like twice or 3 times. And then you could just, whoa. And then you could just cut it, and there you go. Now I have 2. Look. Bye, guys.
Here's a tutorial on how to make a rainbow candy heart. You're going to need 4 red, 3 orange, 2 yellow, 2 green, 2 blue, and 1 purple. You're going to string on 8 beads in the pattern of 1 orange, 1 yellow, 1 green, 1 blue, 1 purple, 1 blue, 1 green, and then a yellow. And then you're going to tie it off with some string at the end. Once you tie it and it looks like this, you're going to want to shape it into a square. Once it looks like this, you're going to take your long string and thread it through the orange bead. Then you're going to string on 2 red and 1 orange, and then you're going to put the string through this green bead. Once it looks like this, you're going to take your long string and you're going to want to string it through this blue bead, this purple bead, the blue bead, and then up to the green bead. I'll show you what it looks like. By doing that, we skip the bottom beads and go back up to that green bead, and now you're going to string on 1 orange bead, 2 red beads, put through this orange bead right here, and then tie it off. Once you tie it off and cut off the excess string, it should look like this. I know it's a bit smaller than a star, and the tutorial might be a little tricky, but once you do it the first time, you can get it all the time. Feel free to request any tutorials you might want to see. Bye!
How to make a candy octopus. More examples. You'll need beads, string, and scissors. Start off by stringing on 16 beads. Tie it off super tightly the same way you would a single. String on 1 bead, then we're going to skip 1 bead and go through the next one. Then pull tightly, string on another bead, skip 1 bead, go through the next, then pull tightly. And then we're going to do that all the way around. So yours should look similar to this. Now we're going to string the string so that it's coming out of one of the beads that's poking up. For me, it's green because I'm doing different colors for each layer. Now you're going to string on a black bead to be one of the eyes. You're going to go through one of the poking up beads, pull tightly. Then you're going to do another normal colored bead, and then a second black bead to be the eyes. Now we're going to continue around the rest with the normal colored bead. Once you're done, put the string through the closest point. Then just like we have for the other layers, we're going to put on 1 bead, go through a poking up bead, tug tightly, then you're going to do that all the way around. When you're done, make sure your string is coming out of one of the sticking up beads. Now we're going to go around and do it just as we have been for 1 more layer. Once you finish the final layer, string your string through one of the sticking up beads and string on 1 bead. String it through the other bead just as we have before, but then we're also going to take the string and we're going to go through this bead and this bead so that it's coming out of the next point. So my string is coming out of the next point, but there's no bead in between. Then string on another bead, just like we had before, string it through the next point, but then just like we did for this one, we're going to go through this bead and this bead so that it's coming out of the next point with no bead in between. String on another bead, go through a point, have the string come out of the next point. Then string on a bead, go through the next point, and then go through these 3 beads so that it's coming out of one of the very points. Then once it's coming out of the point, string on 1 bead and go through the closest very point. Then pull tightly and it kind of cinches it together, and then we're going to do that all around. Once you're done, the top should look like a little square. Then you're going to string the string through a lot of beads so it comes out of one of the points at the bottom. Then we're going to string on 4 beads. I'm doing a rainbow pattern, so it might look different from yours. And then we are going to hold the very final bead back and go through 3 beads with our string and pull tightly, and then go through the closest point. And that's our first tentacle. To show you again, we are going to separate the final bead of the 4, then we're going to put the string through the other 3 beads, then pull tightly and put the string through the closest point at the bottom and pull tightly. Then do that all the way around so you have a total of 8 tentacles. Then tie it off and you have a candy octopus. If you like any of these guys, they're all listed on my Etsy shop.
A cute charm to make when you're low on string. You need 6 purple beads, 1 yellow bead, and about 6 inches of string. First put 2 beads on the string. Then put both ends of the string through a yellow bead and pull, then add 2 more beads and pull. Then tie 2 tight knots at the end and leave the excess. Now put the string through this purple bead, then add another bead, then go to the next purple bead to end up here. Do that for the other side as well. Then tie 2 knots not too tight, otherwise it won't lay flat, and cut the excess and you're done. Hope you enjoyed.
Alright, so to make that and with those materials, you're going to make an X-base cuff. So that follows an ABA pattern. So I'm going to show you how to make the first couple strands and then you'll go from there. AB pattern is 2 colors, so ABA. You're going to make sure it's in multiples of 3 and have it fit your wrist. I use 10. If your desired number, you tie it off. As you can see, the string is coming out of these 2 middle beads. You're going to run it through this bead and through this bead before you make your next layer. I'm going to follow the same ABA pattern. I'm using colors, but it's the same thing. 1, 2, 1. You're going to run 3 beads through here, and then run through the string, first bead right here. After that, add 3 more beads, same ABA, and then do this one all the way around. Once you get to the end of the row right here, you're going to run it through this first bead, run it up through here, and run it through this bead. Then do the same thing. Add 3 beads from here to here, to here to here, all the way around until you get to the next step. So now that we're on our last 3 pieces for this row, we're going to run it through this black bead right here, and then run it up through this 3rd bead right here. Now to finish off the single X base, we're going to add 2 black beads just like the bottom right here and run them through this bead, 2 right here, this bead, 2 right here, this bead. Now that you're done with your X base cuff, you're just going to tie it off with 3 box knots right here. So now we're going to start making the 3D X part of the base. We're going to start with 2 of these, 1 of these, and then 2 of these. Once you have your beads added on, you're going to run it through this bead and then repeat the pattern all the way around. With our last row right here, we're going to run it through this bead right here, and then we're going to run it through these beads coming out this blue bead. Okay, so now that the string is running through this bead, we're going to add 2 more of these green beads. And now we're going to run the string from the bead that's straight across from it, which is this one right here. It's going to start creating the 3D X, and you're going to do the same thing around. So you're going to add 2 more beads, run it through this one, add 2 more, run it through this one, add 2 more, and continue on. Now that the 3D X base is done, we're going to start with the mandala cuff. I'm just going to tie on more string. So just like this part right here with the string running through this blue clear bead, we're going to add 5 of these beads all the way around. So add 5, run it through this one, add 5, run it through this one. Now that we are on the last row from this set, we're going to add 5 more, run it through this bead right here, and then run it up through these 3, have it coming out the point for the next row. So with the string running through the middle point right here, we're going to take 7 of these beads, run it through all the points like this around, and then you'll be finished with your mandala cuffs. Okay, so now we're going to run the string through here to this layer up here, and we're going to tie it into a triple box knot.
I'm going to teach you guys how to make the little candy jellyfishes. You just need some jewelry cord and some beads and some scissors. I say you need about this much cord, maybe a little bit more, we'll see. I'm going to make a rainbow jellyfish to show the different layers, but you don't have to. First, we're going to put 3 beads onto our string and tie off. I triple knot it just so it's super tight, but you can just do as many as you're comfortable with. Oh my god. And then cut the extra string off. Then we're going to take our string and go through 1 bead, it just to hide the knot on it. So it should look like that. Next, we're going to put 1 bead in each of these sides here. So string 1 bead, go through, string through, string through. So we're going to put 1 bead, string, pull through, and then repeat that. All right, we're stringing the last bead. I don't use a thread or a bead needle or thread needle, whatever people use. I just do it with my hand. It is a little bit more difficult, but I think it's not an issue. But this is what it should look like at the end. Then we're going to go ahead and string through this top bead as well. All right, with our string coming out this end here, and we have our triangle, make sure you pull it pretty tight. We're going to add 3 beads and then string through the top, 3 beads, skip, string, 3 beads, string. Okay, I hope that makes sense. We'll show you. Okay, we're going to take our 3 beads, string through this next point, oh my gosh, and pull tight, and then we're going to do that again 2 more times. This is what it should look like after you string it through there. Now, what we're going to do next is add a single bead into these corners here to make a full circle around the purple, right? So we need to string through 1, 2, and 3 and get that point right there. So it should look like this. Next, we're going to add 1 bead, go through all 3 of these, add a bead, go through all 3 of these, and then add a bead and go through, and then we'll meet you back at the end. So we added a bead, and then we're going to string it through all 3 of these. So when we pull it, it's just making that circle for us. So we're going to do that 2 more times. Okay, we just added our last bead, and now we're going to string through the next 4. So string through that first 3, and then, okay, you see how hard it is without the needle, but it is possible, I swear. I do it all the time. Okay, sometimes if you get your thread twisted, just pull it. You've got this. So now we should have a full circle around our purple. You don't have to pull super tight or anything. You don't have to pull it super tight or anything. I just keep it structured basically. And what we're going to do next is we're going to add 3 beads and string through 6 different sides. So it's going to be those ones, but I'll show you 2 of them. So what we're going to do is we're going to string 3 beads and then go through right there. We're just going to skip 1 bead and go through the next one. The only thing about not using a thread needle, once it gets like this, the top of the string, you just want to trim it so it's easier to put through the beads. So now we're going to repeat that 5 times. Okay, I just stringed my last 3. Now with this next one, we're not just going to go through this one. We need to get it back to that point again. So we're going to go through the next 3 beads, or next 2 beads out of that original one you're going into. And you should get this star shape. I hope you guys are following. Next, we're going to string 3 beads and put them through all of the points of those stars that we just created. So string 3 beads, go through the star, and it should make a circle. You're going to repeat that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more times. Now, when we're stringing the last one, we're going to go through that middle green one right there and pull through, and then string the next 2 beads too to get us back to that point. As you can see, and this is why I recommend doing different colors, it's really adding 3 at a time, and you're always kind of going through that middle one of the colors. It really makes it super simple. Okay, the next step is to add 3 more beads, and we're going to go through those middle points again, but this time on that last layer we did. So mine's the yellow, as you can see, but we're going to do that all the way around. Okay, we just strung our last 3 beads. Then we're going to go through, and just like the last layer, we're going to go through 2 more times to get us back to that point. Now, if you pull it too tight, it's going to start forming it all the way covered. That's not bad. It's just about the shape of the one you're jellyfish you're going for. I like more of the open look, but you can do a more like structured one as well. But for the next step, we're going to add 4 beads and go through those points again. So not 3 this time. I'm going to actually tie off a little bit more string because I underestimated it. And tying on some new string is just as simple as tying 2 of the strings together. Pull pretty tight. I double knot it, but you could do more. Okay, so we're going to take 4 beads and then go through that next 3 point, or the last 3 points we put on, but we're going to put it through the middle. So it should do that, and then we're going to do that all the way around, just like the same. Okay, we strung our last 4 beads, and then we're just going to go through that last orange bead that I'm using, but whatever color you're using, that one right there. And we're going to go ahead and tie off. I usually go through the bottom and then just through and through. I hope that made sense. Now, I don't want it to be super crazy tight here, so I'm just going to open it a little bit. It's still going to be pretty hooded, but that top jellyfish shape. But you're going to want to tie this off at least 2 to 3 times. And you have officially completed the top of the jellyfish. Next, you're going to get 3 individual strings about that long. These are going to be the tentacles. So if you look on my blue layer, I have these points. So if you look at the ones in 3s, so 1, 2, and 3, that is where we're going to actually put our tentacles. So string through there and then go ahead and slide these under and pull from the other side pretty tight so it covers that on the outside. So now we're going to put 12 beads on to our tentacle. And when we're doing it, we're going to put them through both of the strings. So as you see, we put both bead and just let it slide all the way down. I'm going to pull it just to make sure it goes all the way to that end down there, but 12 beads. And then we're going to take 1 single bead and go through one of the strings, and then we're just going to tie off. So when we tie off, you don't want to make it super tight because you want to give it tension, but it's going to kind of let it do that. After I do the first one pretty loose is when we can tie the second one off a lot tighter. And I triple knot it and then cut off the excess, and then boom, we have tentacle 1 done. So then we're going to take that next string that we got, and we went through this one last time, so we're just going to move over and go through this one over here. Remember, push it through to the bottom so that we can work with it. So just like the last one, we're going to string through both of these strings until we have 12 beads on. And then on that last bead, the 13th, remember 1 string and tie off. All right, and then we just tie off and cut the excess. And then for our last tentacle, as you can guess, probably it's the same method. Put it through that last of the 3 and then put it through to the other side so we can use it. It helps on this side if you make them the same length and then kind of just push them together so you're able to put these beads on a little bit easier when you're putting it through both. Like that. And on that last bead again, just to make sure, put it only through one of the strings and then tie off. Again, I tie the first one loose, then the next 2 pretty tight. And so when we cut off, we have a completed jellyfish. Something you absolutely do not have to do, but I like to do, is add a circle to the top so it's easier for me to kind of carry around, or if I give it to people, it's a little bit easier to not just hand them an object. But I make a circle like so, and then I usually double knot this, but then you have your little jellyfish. This one, obviously I pulled a little bit tighter, so it's a little bit more hooded. Now, if you don't pull as tight, you get more of this like open look, but good luck.
Time for random videos.
How to add beads to her shoes. This is the shoe I'll be using because I haven't beaded it yet. First, untie the laces. Now take the laces out of the shoe. Perfect. Now grab her beads. These are called pony beads. Grab 10 beads. Put them on the lace. Now thread the lace through the holes like this. Make sure to go over the flaps so you can see the beads clearly. It should look like this. Now for the laces that cross. Get her beads and put them on the lace like last time. Now thread the lace over the flap like this. Make sure you put the lace through the hole across from it so it's diagonal. Once you're done with the beads, lace it up like normal. I hope this was helpful. Bye-bye.
Okay, so someone asked for a tutorial on the beaded curtains, which I'm not done yet. I'm gonna fill out the whole entire thing. First I'm gonna show y'all how to tie the curtains with the normal candy beads, and then I'll show how to tie the ones with the different sized beads and the clay beads. So first for the candy curtain, what I do is I get one bead right here. I put it towards the end, and then I tie it like this. So then you see it's tied right here. And then I grab one bead, I put this side through that bead. I pull it all the way through. And then I tie it right here. And then that's how the end would look like, and then I cut off the excess. Okay, so here's how the orange one looks hung up with the rest. The way that I hang them up is by using tape, which I've had this pink one right here hung up for about a month or two now, and it still hasn't fell. Surely it doesn't look the best, but it hangs them up. For these two, the one with the different shaped beads, I tied it the same way as the orange one, since at the end it's just the beads. I kind of forgot to cut off the excess, but I'll do that later. The clay one, what I did to tie it was, hold on. At the bottom, I just tied a big knot so then it can't fall off. So yeah, that's the tutorial on the beaded curtains.
And there we go. All finished.
Do I look like a real boy, Papa?
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. But you don't have to if you don't want to. Just don't forget to drink some water and get something to eat if not already. Anyways, have an amazing rest of your day or night.